Welcome to Mr. Biz Radio, biz talk for biz owners. If you're ready to stop faking the funk and take your business onward and upward, this show is for you. And now, here's Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth.
All right, welcome to another episode of Mr. Biz Radio with me, Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth. And this week we're going to talk about something that, again, I say this all the time, which I guess I'm kind of proud of. We try to cover topics that are broad enough, some specifics within the topic, but that are broad enough that cover a lot of people. Again, most of our listeners and viewers are entrepreneurs, business owners, et cetera, but we have a lot of corporate people. We have a lot of entrepreneurs. And frankly, the topic we're going to cover this week would cover even a broader audience than that. And that is, we're going to talk about on social media, and specifically on the gram, Instagram, how can we optimize what we're doing on Instagram? I talk to people all the time, other business owners, people who have personal brands they're trying to build. And again, they all have their all different algorithms and things like that. But, you know, specifically on Instagram, because it's been so popular lately, specifically, even more specific, I should say, with Reels recently they've been a huge push with that. We're going to talk through some of that. And as always, we don't get just anyone to talk about these topics, right? This isn't just some, person off the street to talk about Instagram. This is the person. Now, how many people out there, raise your hand so I can see you. How many people out there have seen the Blank for Dummies books, right? Now, to be able to write one of those books, you got to be an absolute guru, right? You got to be an expert. Well, guess what? Our guest this week wrote Instagram for Dummies and Instagram for Business for Dummies. So how much better can you get than that, right? Corey Walker is the co-author of Instagram for Dummies and Instagram for Business for Dummies, a how-to guide for using Instagram to market your business. She is also the owner of The Marketing Specialist, a digital marketing agency in El Dorado Hills, California. Corey works with several clients to produce social media strategies, including creating graphics and written content, advising on video, scheduling content, buying ads, and tracking analytics. She loves helping businesses achieve success in the online world. Corey, welcome to Mr. Biz Radio.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for that great intro.
Well, look, I'm being serious. And this is one of the things, when I first talked with you, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get her on the show. That's like instant credibility. Writing, and co-authoring, one of those For Dummies books, right? You got to know what the heck you're talking about to do that. And so I thought, and by the way, I think I qualify as an Instagram dummy. So this is going to be great for me.
Okay.
So before we get into so she's going to teach us all sorts of things about Instagram, the algorithm, Reels, how to use them, all that kind of stuff. Of course, she's going to give us some tips on how to crush it on Instagram. But before we get into all that, Corey, tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. How did you come to founding the Marketing Specialist, et cetera?
Yeah, so I worked in corporate marketing as a marketing specialist for several years before launching my own business. And it really started because I had a baby at home. My baby is now 18.
Wow.
And yeah. So I had her at home and I wanted to start doing my own thing to just have a little bit more flexibility. So I started the Marketing Specialist, and back then it wasn't a social media company because there wasn't really social media. It was more, newsletters and print and all of that. And as social media became more popular, I thought, I really need to figure this out. And so I started on Twitter, then got onto Facebook, and then eventually Instagram, and started using Instagram for my business. And I've been doing that for a long time now, building it out. And then I was approached by one of the co-authors of, he's written several other dummies books. There hadn't been an Instagram for Dummies or an Instagram for Business for Dummies yet. So he approached me about writing that. And so the rest is history, and started, of course, once you write a dummies book about Instagram, then you really have to go all in on Instagram. So I was already using it for my business, but then, after you write the book and do all the research and do all of that and take all the screenshots, then you're pretty much all in on Instagram. So.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, so when I noticed when I was doing show prep and, your website, themarketingspecialist.com, when I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is freaking domain name gold.
That's because it's super old.
I was just going to say, you. So it sounds like you secured that a long time ago. Because I was like, oh my gosh, you could probably sell that for $1 bazillion nowadays. And I thought maybe you had to buy it from someone. But if you got it way a long time ago, yeah, you were way ahead of the game then.
Yeah, I happened to get it literally 17 years ago. And I have held on to that thing. It's part of my retirement plan is to sell it someday, I guess. But yeah, I was pretty lucky to get that one.
Yeah. Have you had offers?
Surprisingly, I haven't. So maybe it's not such a good plan after all. But no, I'm surprisingly no.
Well, I think it depends too, because it depends how you register your domain name and all that kind of stuff. You want to stay private and all that stuff. But look, I think that's got to be just absolute domain name gold. You have a lot of these podcasts where that's all they talk about is domain names and what strategies to buy, what names and all this kind of stuff. And
right.
I'm sure they would be licking their chops with your domain name, themarketingspecialist.com. So I guess what prompted you? Was it really just when you started the family? Was it prompted you to leave sort of the corporate world and kind of start your own thing?
Yeah, I mean, it really was. My daughter was going to daycare every day, and she was, starting to walk, starting to do all these things, and I felt like I was missing some big milestones. And so I just didn't want to be chained to that, 8 to 5 kind of thing. And the company that I was working for, it was kind of going through some changes, and I wasn't doing a lot of work that felt meaningful to me. So kind of the two colliding at once. I'm like, I'm sitting here in my cubicle. My daughter's doing all these things. I could be doing more. So it all came to kind of a perfect head. And I said, I'm going to go out on my own and see what happens. And luckily I've been able to grow and keep going for, this long. So, it turned out to be a good move, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we've only got a couple of minutes before we got to hit a break here, but I'm curious as well. At what point did you transition from some of the marketing you had been doing, like you had mentioned with blogs and things like that, into the social media world? At what point, were you like, okay, maybe this is a real thing, not just a fad. I should jump into this.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably about 10 to 11 years ago. I was working with one of the bigger clients that I have now. It's a healthcare organization. And so I was doing a lot of print work, email marketing. And I said, I think we should really look at doing things on Facebook. I'm seeing people out there for business, and this might be something. So let's just take a look. And I'll never forget the person I was working with there. She's like, okay, we'll just dip our toes in the water and we'll just see what happens. And and then later, we built so many different Facebook pages for them because they have so many different arms of, medical groups and things like that. So it just got huge. And so we kept with that. And then some of my other clients started, asking for it. And I just kind of just kept building and learning and became a resource within that organization. And then also just locally, I'm in the Sacramento, California area. And I started networking more, and people started getting to know, like, oh, here's somebody that knows about social media, which not everybody knew about yet. So, word got out that way as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm curious to hear even the jumps between the few. So we'll talk about that in the next segment. So we're going to come back after the break. We'll give the Mr. Biz tip of the week. We'll continue talking with Corey. Again, you can find out more at her website, the golden website, themarketingspecialist.com, themarketingspecialist.com, and obviously follow her on Instagram.
If you would like to reach hundreds of thousands of business owners every week, Mr. Biz Radio can help. Our show airs globally 7 days a week for more than 25 hours across several internet radio stations, plus 20 plus podcast platforms. Also, video exposure on the new exclusive Mr. Biz Network streaming channel, which gets blasted to 100 plus streaming platforms, and the Mr. Biz YouTube channel, and our 350,000 social media followers multiple times every week. Join Mr. Biz Nation as an advertiser by emailing us at info@MrBizSolutions.com.
Are you ready to automate your business? Automation is the key to scaling a business and building wealth. It's also one of the most difficult things for a small business owner to do on their own. If you're looking for help with automation, Pulse Technology CRM can help. We have an exclusive offer for Mr. Biz Nation. We will build everything for free, even if it's a sophisticated funnel. Visit thepulsespot.com/Mr. Biz for this exclusive offer.
Got a question for Mr. Biz you want answered on air? Email it to info@MrBizSolutions.com. Now, once again, here's Mr. Biz.
All right, welcome back to the show. It's time for Mr. Biz tip of the week. And this week's tip is one of my 3 pillars for financial success in business. And those 3 pillars are cash flow, right? These are the 3 things when I start working with a client, 3 things we start with and make sure that we have this really strong foundation. Cash flow, the B word, not that B word, budgeting. Although Mrs. Biz thinks it's just as bad as the other B word. She doesn't like that, the budget. And then pricing. So specifically in regards to the budget, one of the mistakes I see, first of all, a lot of business owners don't even have a budget. Huge mistake. And if you do have a budget, make sure that you include 2 things in that. You have 2 S&R, seasonality and reality. So a budget is not meant to be something that's like, it's supposed to be aspirational. You need to shoot high and all that kind of stuff for sure. But you can't make it completely unrealistic, right? It's got to have some basis around how you're going to get there. If it becomes too much aspirational in nature, you lose people because they go, oh my gosh, you get 3 months of the year and they're like, there's no way we can do this. And then it just becomes completely useless. So you can't do that. And seasonality, very important. Don't just straight line your budget. So again, making the numbers easy. If your budget is $1.2 million for a year, don't put $100,000 across 12 months. Unless your business is set up that way. Most businesses have some seasonality to them. They have certain seasons that are busier than others. Make sure you account for that so you don't end up halfway through the year thinking you're way ahead when actually you're behind because of seasonality, et cetera. So very important thing. If budgets aren't realistic and they don't measure how your business actually runs, again, they become useless because people look at them and go, oh my gosh, we're so far off, or we're so far ahead, and they take their foot off the gas pedal. So either one, not a good option. So that is Mr. Biz tip of the week. Again, this week we're talking with Mrs. Corey Walker, themarketingspecialist.com. So Corey, let's talk. I don't even know where you want to start. I mean, I don't want you to give away too much because, I want to talk about some specific tips in the last segment, but Reels. I guess let's start with that, with Instagram Reels, because that seems to be a big hot thing here over the last, several months anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Reels, they've been around for, believe it or not, 2 years. But
oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, but people are really just jumping on them now. And the other thing is Instagram is pushing them harder than ever because they want to beat TikTok. So that, the one thing Instagram is famous for is basically taking parts of other, successful platforms and making it their own. So Instagram Reels are basically, what was happening on TikTok. They said, we need to do that because they're starting to get a lot of our people are starting to go over there. So we need to reel them back in literally with Reels. Yeah. So over the summer, if you are on Instagram, you may have noticed almost your entire feed was Reels. And, finally the Kardashians spoke and they said, hey, we're getting a little sick of these Reels. We want some photos back. We still like photos. And they were also suggesting a lot of accounts that weren't, your friends or the businesses that you wanted to follow. So there was a lot of backlash that Instagram got saying like it's overly saturated with Reels and it's there's too many of these suggestions. So they pulled back on the suggestions. And then just recently, I noticed about a week ago, they've started filtering in a little bit more of the photos and carousels and other, things that are not Reels. Mm-hmm. That remains, the fact that remains is that Reels are not going anywhere. Short form video is not going anywhere. So every platform now is launching or has launched some kind of short form video. You have obviously TikTok, you have YouTube has YouTube Shorts, you have Pinterest even has their idea pins, which are the same size, little short video. Elon Musk is talking about bringing Vine back. That's also a short form video, all vertical video. So if you think, I'm going to just wait for this trend to pass, you're going to get left in the dust. Yeah. So it is important to start looking at this and looking at ways you can do it. One of the things that I suggest to people is if you're going to be doing a reel, you may as well just do a short form video that you can put on more than one platform. So maybe create it outside of reels. I have a lot of restaurant clients, and so I'll go to the restaurant and I'll just film 200 clips of them, making food, people enjoying the food, and then I'll dump it into a file and then put the clips all together in CapCut. And then they're finished files. I can put them anywhere I want. So that's one thing. Another thing is, if you are going to put them, say you're going to create them first in TikTok, don't download them from TikTok and put them on Reels with that TikTok logo. Instagram has been very clear. They don't like that, and they will downplay that video. So yeah, basically TikTok logos, big no-no on Instagram. And
I see it all the time. I see people do it still all the time. And you see, like you said, the little TikTok logo in the lower right. And it's like, and I'm glad you mentioned, I'm not surprised at all, but that Instagram would downplay those and, practically probably shut them down, because why would they want to advertise for TikTok? It's crazy. When, especially like you said, you can go the other way with it. You can have just a short form video that you can share on all of them individually, especially with some, we use, I know with all of our social media, we use Buffer. So you can schedule all of it across those different, the one video right across all, and repurpose that same video across all. And a lot of people, when I tell them that, they're like, oh, well, no one wants to see it on all these different platforms. I'm like, first of all, this is going to sound really mean, but get over yourself. Not everyone follows you. Not everyone follows you on every platform, right? Some people are just on one or two of those platforms, so they're not going to get sick of it. And by the way, if it's a good video, they're probably going to be like, oh, I saw this before, let me watch it again. So even though it's a different platform. But yeah, I agree with you. The video thing, even back, was it 2018, I think, I committed to do 100 videos, like on like YouTube, and these were all like 3 or 4 minute videos. And I did 100 of them. I did 20 a month for 5 months. So I did 100 over 5 months, and most of them I would just go live. That's when Facebook Live was really starting to pick up some steam. Right. And so I would get a ton of virality out of them because Facebook would help push it, because they were trying to get people to do lives. And but the video content, I mean, it seems like everyone nowadays wants the video content versus other forms as well, more and more so. Yeah, and I mean, people have gotten lazier, I hate to say it. Absolutely. And their attention span has gone way down. And I mean, it's kind of like, well, which came first, the chicken or the egg? It's like, are people's attention spans naturally going down, or is it because of these videos? And if we make more of these videos, is that contributing to the problem? I don't know. But yeah, the attention spans have gone down. That's one of the tips that I share with Reels, is keep them short. You can do up to 90 seconds now, but people don't typically stay on for that long unless you're sharing super good information that they're really, or your audience is used to hearing these longer types of things. Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, again, keep in mind, we're talking this week this is Corey Walker, themarketingspecialist.com. Come back after the break, and she's going to give us some more tips on how to crush it on Instagram.
How would you like to have direct access to Mr. Biz to help you run your business more profitably and more efficiently? At MrBizSolutions.com, you get live access to not only Mr. Biz, but also several of his hand-picked and trusted business experts, each with 20 plus years of experience to help you optimally manage and grow your business. That's just the start of where Mr. Biz Solutions begins. Learn more at MrBizSolutions.com. That's MrBizSolutions.com.
Business owners have a continually growing to-do list with little time for revenue-producing activities. With Check Off Your List and their experienced team of virtual assistants, you can focus on growing your business. Visit checkoffyourlist.com to learn how Check Off Your List's skilled team can handle your day-to-day tasks like social media, bookkeeping, calendar maintenance, and much more. Contact Check Off Your List at checkoffyourlist.com or call 888-262-1249 to see how their virtual assistants can help you live to work rather than work to live.
Check out all 3 of Mr. Biz's best-selling books at MrBizBooks.com. Now, once again, here's Mr. Biz.
All right, welcome back to the show. And I'm sure you guys are all waiting for this. Corey's already shared tons of insightful information. Again, I've got, as I always do, I got tons of notes. And I warned her before the show started. I said, I'm telling you this selfishly, I'm going to learn a lot from this show myself. So, and I'm sure you guys are as well. So I guess with all of that, Corey, what are some things, some practical tips? Maybe they're tips and or things that you see that people do and you're like, make you cringe. You're like, that doesn't work, or you shouldn't be doing that, or Instagram, the algorithm is going to punish you for that. Like the TikTok logo you had mentioned before, things like that. What are some things that we could be doing to optimize our virality, our engagement on Instagram?
Sure. Well, the first thing I like to tell people is to think of Instagram like a sales funnel. So basically, you have Reels are going to be at your very top, and that's going to be shown to, tons of people, not necessarily your followers. So that is a good thing about Reels, is they will pop that outside of your, sphere of followers. So Reels big at the top. And then it's going to go down a little bit more on the feed. So I like to put, I will do just one photo, but I like to use carousels. They seem to do a little bit better with the algorithm. The other thing that people don't necessarily know is that if someone sees that carousel, if they see the first card in the carousel first, if they stay on Instagram for a while and they haven't gone through it, it's going to show them the next card in that carousel.
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
And I wondered, I'm glad you confirmed that. I thought I was going crazy.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good way to kind of get out multiple pieces of content that's going to look different. The other thing with carousels, it's really good. Like if you're sharing tips or if you want to show the progression of something, it's a great way to share information. The next step, narrowing down in the funnel, is going to be stories. So like on the regular feed, I'm a little bit more businessy. I'm still kind of a silly person. So I might, add some of my humor, but I'm not sharing pictures, necessarily of my cat, whatever. On the story side, I will get a little bit more personal. Like if my daughter was my daughter played in a band. So if she was in her band performance, I might share that on Reels, just to let you know, I am a real person. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, all these different things that I like to do. You can share on stories. I do share several stories, usually a day. And then lives are a great finishing point for people that are already very familiar with you. That's where you can kind of seal the deal with your sales process, talk to them, and then your followers also have the opportunity to ask you questions directly, either about your product, your service, all of that. So the lives are at the very end of the funnel. So if you follow that framework and really think of it that way, it can be super helpful to move people through and actually get them to buy from you.
Yeah. So let me ask, I love the analogy of the sales funnel, and it makes complete sense to me, especially the way you broke that down. And when you first said that, I'm like, okay, where's she going with this? But it makes perfect sense as you explained it. Mm-hmm. What about, they seem to be fairly recently, although maybe I'm behind the times, pushing subscriptions, allowing people to offer subscriptions. Where does that sort of fit in all of this?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. And they just rolled that out, I think, to most people now in the US. I haven't checked on it. I think it's a great one for people that have some kind of a program that they're selling. So like I see people using it where they have kind of a members only type thing. So if you did have some kind of course or program and you wanted exclusive rights, to these set of people, you could do that. Or if you wanted to use the subscription just on its own, like that's where you share your top secret, info, you could do it that way. So it's a nice add-on for people that want to share, on a deeper level, but don't want to give it all away for free.
Yeah. And I've struggled with it a little bit because it keeps popping up. They keep asking me, do you want to start a subscription? And then I'm seeing a lot of people that I know and that I follow that so-and-so has started offering subscriptions. And I'm like, I need to literally sit down, Corey, and like figure out and map some of this out. And which I'm glad you mentioned it, like a sales funnel. I'll think about and how to integrate subscriptions into that. Like, what do I share between Reels, feed, stories, and lives? And then what's the next level in subscription? So to make sure I'm providing value for those folks that are, paying for the subscription and not just, the same stuff.
Right. Yeah. So it would have to be deeper level, I think, information. Your best tips that, because when you're on Instagram, for your business, you don't necessarily want to give away everything, because then it's like, well, why does someone have to buy from you or get coached by you or whatever? So that could be where you put some of that subscription information. Let's see, some of the don'ts that I see. This is a big one that I see a lot of like B2B people do. And it's sharing these just basic stock photos. And that's all they're doing. They're sharing a stock photo, and then it has some, really boring caption with it. And then the kicker is they put a URL in the caption, which, as most people know, the captions in Instagram are not, don't have live links available. So they're leaving this super long URL. And, no one can click on it. So they'd have to, copy and paste it somehow in there. So those are two big ones that I see. And I'm just like, oh, I want to just reach out to them and say, can I help you, please? Yeah.
So one thing I want to ask you too, and I should have asked it a minute ago, but, and this is an outdated statistic, so I'm sure it's new now or been updated, especially Reels wasn't as big of a deal when I saw this. And I probably saw this about a year ago that said, I think it was like 54%, 56% of people, the content that is seen or that people see on Instagram is on stories versus the feed.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the exact amount, but yeah, a lot of people do just watch stories. I have somebody that I'm friends with, and she's very heavy stories, and she is really like a storyteller. So you see all about her life, and you really get to know her. And so she sprinkles in the business stuff, and you can join her course and things like that. But yeah, don't discount stories. The thing I also like is you can be a little bit more lax about what you're presenting, because they go away in 24 hours.
Right.
But they are a really good tool. So I always suggest people use stories. And now you can even put links in the stories. So you can link directly out to, your blog posts or your website or, other places. Mm-hmm. I will typically share also, if I have a reel, I will share it to stories. That's another good tip to get, one more place for your things to be seen. As far as reels go too, I like to also download my videos, my reels videos, and put them on LinkedIn, because not as many people are doing video on LinkedIn. And because it's, it's vertical, it's taking up more space. Sure. So that's kind of a little insider tip that not as many people are using LinkedIn for.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I don't know how much you've been on LinkedIn. I know we're running out of time here, but LinkedIn tried to launch a video thing a while back, and it just kind of fizzled out, and they did away with it. You can still share videos on there, but they're a very specific version of it. But man, I'll tell you, I've got so many notes, and there's been so many aha moments for me. I really appreciate you coming on the show, Corey. Again, themarketingspecialist.com. Corey, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As always, have a great week. And don't forget, cash flow is king.
To become part of Mr. Biz Nation, follow him on all social media platforms or never miss a show by going to MrBizRadio.com. If you prefer free video content, visit the Mr. Biz YouTube channel or check out his streaming channel, which is available on 100 plus streaming platforms at MrBizNetwork.com.